How we can do this, we've just gone through several of these. Never start. We'd have two physicians that did that. So one of y'all did. You did, Alan, you never had insurance. Right. Okay. And then the other two, we both did cold turkey, and myself and my partner, we weaned off the insurance scheme. So there's 3 different ways of doing it. How we weaned it off, first of all, I live a very fiscally conservative lifestyle. I have reasons to prepare for a personal income decline, so it wasn't that hard for me to make the decision, geez, if I make 30% next year, I can deal with it. I think that's important. The other thing is to eliminate your overhead, tighten up your collection policies, reduce your full-time employees, and resist the urge to hire a new associate. Periodically, I have old residents of mine who come to me and say, oh, I'm so busy, I'm looking for a new partner. And my response is, well, instead of hiring a new partner, why don't you look at getting rid of your really bad insurance plans? And they don't think about that. Because once you hire that new partner, then you got to feed them. And you can't get rid of the insurance plans. Then what we would do is we'd assess the actual revenue from each of the insurer based on expenses, and then we'd eliminate the most unfavorable contracts. We reassessed that every 6 months, and then we repeated those steps until we were completely free of all the third-party payers. My office manager, Beth Swallow over here, developed a software program for us to do an analysis to see how much we're getting paid by each insurance company, sort of a grief factor, if you would. And this is a screenshot from one of her software programs that she developed for our office to help us guide to make those decisions. And what this is basically these are the overhead per dollar of receipts on the bottom right-hand corner here. If you notice, the top one is 0.78, okay? And that one, you are making 22 cents per dollar of overhead, okay? The bottom one there, it's 131. You're losing 31 cents for every dollar of overhead. So in this particular situation, that's Medicare, by the way, it's a no-brainer. Get rid of Medicare, and you actually will see an increase in revenue. Okay? But the problem is you can't make these decisions unless you know what the data is. Well, what happened with us, the patient visits and revenue declined after each time we got rid of a third-party payer. But it was temporary, and it would slowly come back up, both patient visits and revenue. We also saw a shift in the referral pattern. When we started all this, we were completely tertiary care referral practice. The first year after we changed, it continued. And then after about a year, the physician stopped referring to us, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And eventually I realized what would happen is they continued to refer because they didn't realize we were no longer taking insurance. And we'd get, for every 10 calls, 9 patients would not schedule and would go back to their referring doctor and say, hey, you just referred me to a guy that doesn't take my insurance. And I think the doctors just got tired of having to deal with that extra hassle to where they just stopped referring to us. And so basically now, that's when we finally started doing some marketing. I'm not a big marketing person, but at that point we did a little bit. We put a newspaper ad out in a few of the cities around southern Louisiana once a month. We also started a website. And that's all we did, and that was enough to generate enough patient-based referrals. Now, I will say our practice is much more patient referrals than physician referrals. And typically what happens when they come with a physician's name, it's the patient went to the physician. Gee, should I go see Dr. Gianoli? Oh, yeah, that's great. Go see Dr. Gianoli. And that's the physician referral. I'm going to close with 2 quotes. First, by an anonymous plastic surgeon. The patients who pay in advance are always happier with their surgery. Okay? There's a surgeon I knew put an implant in for a cash pay patient, and did not collect the money up front. How much you want to bet if there's any tiny little thing wrong with that implant, the patient's not going to want to pay? Whereas if they paid in advance, they'd be very happy with that implant. Also from an anonymous psychiatrist, patients who don't pay don't get better. Is that true? Absolutely. I don't have patients come into my practice with namby-pamby, silly complaints. I really don't. It's just not worth it for them.